What's up, guys? Back with another TBC Classic guide. This time we're going to go classic items that everyone should be using in TBC. Let's get started. So to start, obviously my co-authors, massive thanks to Dr. Kale and Adal for all your huge brain TBC knowledge as always. Credits below. So there are many items in Classic that you can and will use in TBC, ranging from items to your gear, to enchants, to even just a little random items that can just make life easier for you during your adventures in Outlands. There are many videos out there listing top 10 items and such. However, I never see anyone mentioning most, if not all, of these important items. That's where I come in. If you think something else should be added, then please let me know in the comments. In this video, I will not include any gear options simply because I'm in the middle of doing all the gear ones for each class, and there's no reason to reiterate all of that information again. Also, I'm trying to avoid listing all the items you can find in everyone else's videos since they're very obvious, as well as not listing the super memey items. So instead, here's a list with as much items as we could think of from Classic that will get some solid action in TBC. Hope this helps someone out there as they prepare to enter the Dark Portal. So to start, let's go over some consumables, man, starting with flasks. So there's 3 flasks you still use. Flask of Supreme Power, Distilled Wisdom, and Petrification. Supreme Powers are 10 spell power less than the TBC flask, which is Flask of Pure Death, and it's also about half the price, okay? This is perfect for BGs, farm nights, heroics, whatever, any kind of meme content you want to do. Pop with Supreme Power, of course, for casters. Flask of Distilled Wisdom, classes that like to stack intellect occasionally use these, like H-Pals and mages, okay? And in the Flask of Petrification, White Protection for priests and shamans. I say them because they use elixirs and they don't have to override their flask like an H-Pal would, right? This is perfect for White Protection. We use it all the time. If there's no it acts like a DI, so as long as there's no DI, we'll use this almost hands down every way. Next up, potions. Of course, we have the free action potions known as Fappy Faps. They can be used by tanks in various raid and dungeon encounters. So it makes it so they can't be stunned. Hydral, Abominations, ZA Lynx, Black Temple, Behemoths, the list goes on. It makes it so the tank can't be stunned. Also, raiders also need these on KT, for example. So the toy phase, the advisor phase, one of the advisors puts a toy on somebody which periodically stuns them. It's the most annoying thing ever, and you need Faps to get out of it, okay? Also, they're extremely good for PvP, not Arena, of course, because you can't use them in Arena. Next up, Swiftness Potions, just as useful as they have always been, can get you out of many situations in PvE and PvP content. Next up, Invisibility Potions, not lesser Invisibility Potions, but regular Invisibility Potions. They're great for skips and raid, and of course for PvP. Mighty Rage Potions, all warriors should have some of these for some emergency rage, and of course, kind of not that important, I almost didn't put it on there, Resistance Potions. It comes in handy if you need a little extra res to keep you alive. All right, next up, engineering items. A lot of people coming from Classic are likely to be engineering. While engineering won't see as much use in TBC as it did in Classic, those who choose to keep it can still utilize most of these gadgets, especially once Arcanite bars becomes dirt cheap. In TBC, they no longer have a cooldown, and Corium Aura drops Arcane Crystals, okay? I won't list them all, as there are a ton, but here are some that are used frequently enough to mention, okay? First off, the Arcane Bomb. Excellent AoE science typing used in more situations than we can count, from dungeon raids to PvP. The Classic Repair Bot is cheaper than the one to make for TBC, but the TBC one also sells limited scrolls. So, I don't think it's worth it for the scrolls, but you can definitely get a lot of action. It's the same. The mats are cheaper for the Classic one, so I'm going to go with the Classic ones. Of course, grenades, also still used in PvE and PvP. Always a good AoE stun to give you a small window of opportunity to gain some distance. Parachute Cloak, strictly PvP related, I would say, can be used in BGs to slow fall at certain times. Think AB when you're trying to go from Lumber Mill down to Blacksmith. Jumper cables, because you just never know when you're gonna need some cables. And then last, the Gnomish Cloaking Device. This is excellent White Protection in raids as well as in BGs. The issue with that is it's a trinket slot. Who's really gonna wanna use it as a trinket? It's very niche. I could see maybe if you have that bum healer that keeps dying, I don't know, you can make him use it. It's very niche, almost didn't get put on the list as well, but worth it. And some honorable mentions is the EC Throw Dynamite and the Teleporting to Gadget Trinket. You can use that to get to Keepers of Time really fast until you well, there's a portal in Shat to get there anyway, but until you get that unlocked for the rep, you can use these for sure. Next up, enchanting items. Enchanting becomes a very strong profession in TBC. Meaning most of the mats you get from disenchanting level 35 to 60 gear will be worth some money. There's also classic only enchants that will be needed in TBC raids. I won't list them all since most aren't game breaking, but there's a few that are insane. Speaking of large brittle shards, these are massive. They will remain a very, very, very strong material for a few reasons. One, Crusader enchant, which will be the common at the launch of TBC for a cheap weapon enchant. And more importantly, the oils from ZG require shards to make best in slot oil for casters and healers. Brilliant wizard oil for casters, brilliant mana oil for mana users. Brilliant wizard oil, I correct myself, that's for warlocks. I'm pretty sure mages, and I don't know if mages and everyone else use it. I can't speak for them. And lastly, righteous orbs are going to remain valuable with the chance they even go up in price. Lastly, miscellaneous items. Just a short list of some items that I just wanted to put on here that didn't really fit the sections above. First off, dark runes, which are BOE, and demonic runes, which are BOP, for the exact same reason as in Classic. It's a consumable that you use to gain mana. These are a hot commodity and go for anywhere between 10 to 20 gold. Of course, the dark runes, not the demonic runes because they're BOP. Be careful because they do share CD with Hellstones, so watch it. Next up, scrolls, pretty straightforward. Even the rank 4 scrolls from Classic are still good for DPS and tanks if you're lacking the class buffs because they give agi, strength, armor, spirit, and stam. Oil immolation, these are fun, but they don't have a CD, and depending on how TBC is scripted, they may even scale with spell power and be a decent source of AoE damage or minor AoE threat for the tank. Next up, a little minor one, but it might be huge depending on the scripting, is Crystal Spire buffs from Ungor Crater is pretty much thorns and armor reduction. They're decent if you want reflect damage or for farming or AoE threat, and depending on how, like I said, the scripting, if the armor debuff stacks with any other items, this may be really powerful. Nightfin Soup, this is an MP5 buff that can stack with other food buffs. This is also dependent upon how Blizzard scripts the server. Dragon Breath Chili is a fun food that you can continue to use in TBC. However, TBC has its own version called Storm Chops, and they both do similar damage. Lastly, Rumsy Rum. Still a flat 10 stam food buff that gets used early on T4 by tanks and anyone else who needs HP. All right, man. Thanks for watching, guys. That was another quick one. I didn't want to spit here and spend 20 minutes long on a video like everyone else does, saying all the items. I just wanted to quick, straight to it. Here's the point. Boom. There's your items. Do with it as you please. My guys, like, follow, subscribe, hit that button, please, to help me grow. And real quick, every Monday about 7 Pacific Standard Time, we do a weekly TBC podcast with some big brains. It's a one-stop shop for anything that has to do with TBC. Until the next video, guys, peace.